If you thought what William Ruto said in the US was controversial, then you need to take in what he has said in the United Kingdom and what many Kenyans have missed. The Deputy President has said that the succession, the Uhuru Kenyatta succession, is bound to be rocky. In other words, he said it is not going to be smooth. In fact, he didn't mince words. He said that President Uhuru Kenyatta, after Ruto has won the election, will refuse to hand over power to Ruto. Na anaambia wazungu hii maneno, anaosha nguo chafu, anaosha chupi ya nyumbani kwa wazungu. On my show today, I analyze that, but I do something more. I give you the similarities, because many people still don't believe. I give you the similarities between the old terrifying Kanu of the late Moi, Daniel Toroitich arap Moi, Kenya's second president, and the current UDA. There are many similarities. Karibu sana to my show, and as usual, enjoy. What does the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, William Samoei Ruto, mean exactly when he says the Kenyatta succession, the Uhuru Kenyatta succession, just a few months away, will not be smooth? What does he mean? Well, for starters, we know that he means, wait for this one, it will not be peaceful. Okay? You see, what the Deputy President has said is that he knows President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is clearly supporting the Azimio chaps, will not hand over power to Deputy President William Samoei Ruto, even if the Deputy President wins the 2022 presidential elections. Wow! Now that is a loaded statement, very loaded allegation, and I'm more than a little surprised that so many Kenyans have missed it. In my view, this is an extremely dangerous statement to make just a few months away from the elections. It is the kind of statement that can trigger emotions. But maybe, just maybe, that is exactly what the Deputy President wants to do. Now let's be balanced and fair. We know for a fact that whatever happened between the President and his Deputy, we don't fully know yet. But we know that as a result of what happened, it is very difficult for the President and his handlers to imagine handing over power to the Deputy President. And indeed, people like David Murathe, who's very close to the President, has told us that there is no way a responsible President can hand over power to the Deputy President. That is true. However, Murathe has not told us that if the Deputy President wins a free, fair and verifiable election, Murathe has not told us that the President will refuse to hand over power. And therefore that statement by the Deputy President was very unfair. It was a punch under the belt. Now, we've been here before. In 2002, President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi was leaving power. There were many Kenyans who were worried that Moi would refuse to hand over power to the opposition. Yeah, because of course Moi had his own candidate, his own project. Uhuru Kenyatta at that time, who was vying for Kanu. And indeed, we were told, we had some inside information, that hardliners in Moi's camp were advising him not to hand over power to the opposition. Yeah. But guess what happened at Uhuru Park? Yeah, on December 30th, 2002, President Moi handed over the sword of authority to Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki, the opposition candidate who had won the election. And guess what won the day for Kenya that day? Because Moi ignored his hardliners and did the right thing. Guess what won the day for Kenya that day? It was the character of a man. The character of President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. In my view, whatever you think of President Uhuru Kenyatta, however much you hate him, however much you think he has failed, I am very sure, I'm convinced, based on my analysis and the information I have, that the character of President Uhuru Kenyatta cannot and will not and will never allow him to refuse to hand over power to somebody who has won the election. But maybe we should not take the statements by the Deputy President too seriously. And I'll tell you why. Do you remember what the Deputy President said in the US? He said that he fears, he believes the elections will be rigged against him. Remember that? And he appealed to the international community. Wasaidie. He appealed to them to step in and ensure that the election is not rigged. Okay? Those are facts, right? Let me give you another more recent fact. In the UK, the Deputy President has told the Brits that he has full confidence in the IEBC to conduct a free, fair, and verifiable poll. So which is it? Is it that the elections are going to be rigged? Or is it that the IEBC are going to conduct a free, fair poll, which the Deputy President is going to win? And then somebody is going to refuse to hand over power to him. So which is which? Because in my book, the message is not consistent. There's a contradiction there. Those in the US were told something else, and the Brits are being told something completely different. So maybe we should tuliza boli, relax, because maybe tomorrow the Deputy President is going to say that he has full confidence in the President. Yeah, and he has no worries about the President failing to hand over power to him. I want to remind you of one of the points the President brought up at Saga 3. Yeah, and he spoke in Kikuyu. He said he was not like some people who, when they went to a certain part of the country, said something, and then when they went to another part of the country, they said something completely different. The President said his message was consistent, and what he said at Saga 3, he would confidently repeat in Mombasa, in Lamu, in Garissa, in Nyanza, anywhere in the country. I believe those who did not believe the President, may now have a different view. The truth is, the Deputy President is not consistent with his message. It gets very confusing. Because 3 months down the line, when people look at my old videos, maybe they'll wonder, Did Kumekucha invent this? Because at that time the deputy president will be saying the exact opposite of what he said yesterday in the United Kingdom. What? You know, and younger Kenyans will not know this, and maybe they won't want to believe this. You know, all this reminds me of the days of Kanu, Mama na Baba. The days of the dictatorial, terrifying regime of Daniel Toroitich arap Moi. There are just too many similarities. Because this is exactly what Kanu used to do. Yeah. And Moi, they go to one area of the country, they tell Kenyans something, and then they go to another area of the country and they tell Kenyans the opposite. And you know, one day, President Moi told Kenyans the truth about his political strategy. And he spoke in Kiswahili. And he said, siasa ni kama kutongoza mwanamke. Unampatia sweet nothing, sweet words. Alafu akishaingia ndani ya nyumba yako, kuisha maneno. Job complete. In other words, Moi told us that according to him, politics was like ingizaring a woman in a box. What? In other words, akishaingia box, she's in your house. She's 9 months pregnant. Kwani ataenda wapi? Oh boy, that is brutal. And this is UDA politics. This is Deputy President William Samoei Ruto's politics. But you see, in those days, in the Moi days, we had it a little easier because of the character of President Moi. Now we have Kanu back, and the character of the man who will lead the new Kanu, UDA, is not the same as the character of the late President Moi. My appeal to Kenyans, because Kenyans have to make a decision on the 9th of August. I don't hate anybody, whatever people say on this channel. But my advice to Kenyans on the 9th of August, as you go into the polling booth to cast your vote for the next president of Kenya, just remember, if you vote for UDA, if you vote for Kenya Kwanza, you will be voting for a return of the Kanu regime. But without Moi, with a different person at the helm, a different character at the helm. And that is the truth. You know the similarities between the Deputy President, UDA, and the Kanu, which older Kenyans remember, with a lot of fear and trembling. The similarities are just too many. Even the sycophants. You see, if you have people supporting you politically, the way our politics was going is that people support you and they add value. But with the Deputy President, we have seen a return of sycophants. In the Moi days, we had people like Joseph Kamotho, Oloa Ringo, Karaoke Chotara. Now, that's a very interesting character. I'll come back to him in a minute. Sharif Nasir, Mulu Mutisia, who never spent a single day around the walls of a classroom. Others like Fred Gumo, the bully in those days. He looks like a very cool old man these days. But Fred Gumo, as a Moi sycophant, wacha tu. And these days, in New Day, we have people like Eden Duale, Kithure Kindika, Alice Wahome, Samson Dindi Nyoro, Kipchumba Murkomen, etc., etc. Now, these people are, of course, much better educated than the Kanu sycophants of those days, generally speaking. Our Menda Shule. Indeed, people like Kindiki are professors, granted. But it seems, being a sycophant your education does not matter. Sycophants are, of course, people who will quickly defend that which cannot be defended. Because your boss is going to make a mistake. He's human. So what do you do when they make a mistake? It's better to keep quiet. But sycophants will always spin things so that their boss was right, even when they made a mistake. And so those Kenyans who will vote UDA should be prepared, for the old Kanu to come back. They should be prepared for another Okiki Amayo to emerge. Now, I know that name does not make sense to most of us. Okiki Amayo, at one time in Kanu, was the chairman of the disciplinary arm of Kanu. This arm of Kanu had so much power that they could remove a cabinet minister by simply expelling them from Kanu because they didn't toe the line. Okiki Amaya, at the height of his power, was a name anybody in Kanu had, and they would rush to the chemist for dawa ya kuendesha. I kid you not. They'd have a stomach upset because the man was so powerful. He could do anything to you because there was no other political party. So once you're expelled from Kanu, kwisha maneno politically. You can't go anywhere. You can't even be an independent. Because legally, the only space to operate politics from was Kanu, mama na baba. Be prepared. Guys, you dear people, make sure you're prepared and make sure you know what you're voting for. In case you don't know what the old Kanu days were like, go back to Oshago. Talk to your grandparents. Talk to your parents. Don't believe me. Let them explain to you what life was like politically under Kanu in the 80s and 90s. It is good to know what you're voting for. Now, just a quick aside, something more on Karaoke Chotara. Karaoke Chotara, actually his real name was Maina Mwangi, but he was nicknamed Chotara from a very young age because he was very brown. The Mzungu said he was brown, almost yellow, when they described him as a most wanted man in colonial Kenya. After he escaped from Manyani prison, he was put there because he was a Mau Mau member. Anyway, Moi used Chotara to deal with his enemies in Nakuru. Enemies like Kihika Kimani, father to Susan Kihika, a Ruto sycophant. Now, Kihika Kimani led the Change the Constitution movement, which was seeking to block Moi from automatically taking over if something happened to Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. And of course, they all knew that Jomo Kenyatta's health was not good. He would leave us at any time. And of course, Kihika Kimani failed. So when Moi took over, he needed to deal with the Nakuru Mafia properly. And Kihika Kimani was a member of Jomo Kenyatta's Nakuru Mafia. Very powerful individuals who even harassed Moi, bullied Moi, even when he was vice president. This Nakuru Mafia included another very interesting character I've spoken about on this channel a few times. A man called James Erastus Mungai, who was the provincial police boss of the Rift Valley. This is the same man who one day when Moi had returned from a foreign trip said that Moi was carrying arms to overthrow the Jomo Kenyatta government. And he had Moi's home searched and even his farm. But more than that, he did a body search of Moi, where Moi had to strip, and he was searched like a prisoner. That's how powerful the Nakuru Mafia were. Of course, when Moi took over power, when Mungai had, he was still the provincial police boss of Rift Valley, relaxed there, thinking that people live forever, thinking that his honeymoon would continue forever. When he heard that Moi was being sworn in as President of the Republic of Kenya, he jumped into a vehicle, and as the swearing in was going on, speeding towards the Ethiopia border. And he fled the country because he knew what he had done to Moi. He could not survive. And by the way, Mugai is still alive. I saw him 2 or 3 years ago, somewhere in Nyali. Anyway, Karaoke Chotara, a Moi sycophant, at one point, when there were stories that there was too much Karl Marx influence, the father of communism, at the University of Nairobi, issued a statement with a straight face, ordering for the immediate arrest of Karl Marx. What? Kanu days were also fun. There was a lot of high wire comedy. I'm telling you, it is good to go to school. Not just to get a job, by the way. Anyway, UDA reminds me a lot of the Kanu days. And clearly, there's no difference between an illiterate sycophant and a professor sycophant. They all sing the same tune. They all operate the same. So let us prepare for that, those of us in UDA. And let us appreciate and understand the full consequences of what we're preparing ourselves for. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha. Kindly allow me a second to share with you a heads up. I would highly recommend that you do not miss my weekly intelligence briefings, number 74, the very latest weekly intelligence briefings. Now I'm aware that we have not produced the weekly intelligence briefings since my personal tragedy, but I'm now fully back, and very engrossed in my work, and I've been doing a lot of digging around, collecting verified information all over the place. Now, weekly intelligence briefings number 74 reveals some very shocking secrets of the Deputy President. A lot of the stuff, a lot of the content in this weekly intelligence briefings is sensitive, so I cannot say much. But I'd also like to add that you have an opportunity, which you should take full advantage of. You see, we're heading towards the general elections, barely 6 months away, and there are a lot of things. There's a lot of information, juicy details that I can never share on this public channel. It is impossible for me to share on this public channel. They'll all be in the WIB. And of course, these are bound to increase as elections draw closer. What these dirty politicians are really doing behind the scenes, etc., etc. Very important information that will help you to understand my other videos totally. Now I have a very special offer for a very limited time. You can take a 6-month subscription, for below $10. Details on your screen right now. Rush and go for it. Now, of course, within 6 months, we'll be into September. The elections will be over. And so you'll be sure that you'll miss nothing. Okay? So I highly recommend go for it. You can see details on your screen. Just send a blank email to that email address you see, and you'll receive an automated email response giving you full payment details. The same payment details are repeated in the description area below this video. I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the other side and serving you as a WIB member.